We're going to get started. It looks like we do not have a quorum tonight, so I'm calling to order. We will proceed to have something of a meeting in any event, and we'll take some input from the community. I don't think there's any problem with that. We can discuss some of the items. I don't want to have really meaty discussions on just about anything because we're missing so many of our board. But I don't want things to just stagnate for a month. So, perhaps we can get some input and ideas and then move along. We certainly want to hear the reports. So let's start with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. No quorum means we can't approve the minutes. We'll take care of that at our next meeting. Okay. So let's start with reports. Parks and Rec, Tammy.
Good evening, everyone. Of course, with today's weather, it's easy to get excited about spring, but not too quickly. I'm sure it's going to get cold again. So with that, just excited, on the horizon, we have a lot of programs that are coming up, a lot of programs that are doing well. We're actually making very good use of Radnor Activity Center right now with lots of great programs going on, like pickleball, Radnor Youth Basketball, Champions Basketball, indoor junior soccer. So we have a lot of great things up and running. We have a lot of good things on the horizon that are to come. We're also in the process of getting ready for summer. We actually have our August wizarding camp almost sold out already, amazingly. So it's a very popular program. And that takes place at Hilltop Preparatory School. We kind of have Radnor Day Camp on the shelf a little bit right now. We're tempering some of our planning because we're just in limbo with location. So we have some information we've been trying to forward out to parents just to sort of hold them off until we have the details prepared. So we're working through that. Tomorrow night is the 11th annual Radnor Sweetheart Dance. We have 245 guests that'll be joining us, so we're really excited about that. The event's coming back in person this year. It's at the Inn at Villanova University. And we're looking forward to a really great night and excited to have everyone back at the event and enjoying that very special night for families. We also have the Bishop Richard Allen wreath laying ceremony that'll take place on Monday the 14th. That's at 1:00 p.m. At Bishop Richard Allen Park on Brook Street. So we're excited about that. It's a great annual little ceremony and event that we do just to honor Bishop Richard Allen and his birthday and, of course, his commemorative walk to Radnor in 1784. We're also taking registration for the Teen Flashlight Egg Hunt, the Youth Trout Derby, orienteering event is open. We're starting to plan for Arbor Day, Wheels of Wayne, and all of those great things. So a lot of really interesting things lay on the horizon. In the last couple months, I've had the opportunity to start to work with a lot of businesses and organizations again through our sponsorship opportunities. We released our brochure about a month ago, and I've had the chance to work with about 16 groups in the last month and a half, which has been awesome. So we have lots of monetary sponsorships coming in-kind sponsorships coming in, and excited to work with those groups and, of course, get them back out there in person and interacting with the members of the community. We also, I know we're going to talk about some of the park projects when we get to those, at least those that are itemized on the agenda, but I also wanted to acknowledge one project that was completed this week. Each of our Drossen parcels were signed this week. Public Works put the signs up. We had them designed, and they're basically labeling the 3 tracks that we have, the Ryan, of course, Quarry, and the Wheeler tracks. So if you're driving over in and around that area, you'll see that those have been installed. So we've been excited to have that identification and information now marking those lands. So real excited about that being done. And I know the nice weather has been a great opportunity for the Parks Department, under, of course, the leadership of Steve Ledgerton now, out there getting lots of great things done, trying to get the parks cleaned up and get a jump on things, of course, hopefully before maybe another snowstorm comes. So I know they're trying to get some work done in preparation for spring. And that concludes my report.
All right. Thanks, Tammy. Board of Commissioners report, Commissioner Fry?
Thank you. Tammy, I'm always exhausted after I hear you say everything that's going on in the township, but thank you. So yeah, two quick things. We'll lead at the next meeting. I know that we're voting on a large Willows project, so those that have an interest, come on out. Second, and more, which is going to more of a Little League and a Emlyn Tennell thing, as you all know that I am very pro Emlyn Tennell and all that good stuff. If you all know who Marty Costello is, and I'm sure that you all do, he's the used to own Joe's, and he's done a lot when it comes to our veterans and whatnot, and the VFW and Memorial Day. He has a new banner of Emlyn Tennell, and he wants to put that in Emlyn Tennell Park, but he wants to put it in the park, not across the street, and he's looking for some kind of pole to hang it on. So that's something that I'll talk to this board, I'll talk to Tammy, maybe the other Board of Commissioners, and let's kind of see how we can honor this trailblazer. But other than that, great job, Tammy, great job, you guys, and if Maggie Myers, the Ward 2 Commissioner, wants to say anything, please. Okay,
Hi, Maggie.
all right, thanks.
Thank you. Radnor Township School Board. Sarah?
Well, we're making progress on our accessibility and wellness project at the high school, but the one thing I wanted to take this opportunity to mention for anyone in the public, we are going to start a capital plan. It's a feasibility study, a long-term facilities planning study at the district. We don't currently have a plan in place that assesses all of our facilities and the age and the needs and whether they match our enrollment and programming needs. So the district set this as a goal a couple of years ago before COVID. It's kind of been on the shelf. We've been working in the background, but we're now really going to ramp that up. And if people are interested, and you will see a mailer that's actually going to all the homes in the district. So whether or not you have children in the district, you should get a mailer about this. And there are actually 3 different nights where we're asking people to come out to one of our elementary schools. The programs will all be the same, to hear about what we've started, what we're looking for, and really an opportunity for the community to give us feedback about what their expectations are and what they think we need based on the initial studies. So I just would ask people to look for that mailer, check the Radnor Township School District website. There, we'll have those dates up and available for people to come. And they're all in early March, I believe.
Okay, be on the lookout for that. Thanks, Sarah. Shade Tree, Claire, I know that
Yeah, I'm in
you're
a
not
trans.
officially on that committee anymore, but you probably have a last
I do.
report.
I
Why don't you
can.
tell us what the status of what we think we're going to be doing in the future with Shade Tree?
Yes. Well, we're not sure exactly what we're going to be doing with Shade Tree. I have been a liaison from this board there for a number of years. So now with this new role as vice chair with Mary, I've kind of stepped down from the Shade Tree board. But I do have some, I still get emails and minutes and been to a couple meetings. And some things I'd like to report here is that under the guidance of Frank Paris, who is a member of the Shade Tree Board, he is spearheading an initiative where he works with the Pennsylvania Horticulture Society, where we obtain grants, or we get grants to get about 80 bare root trees that would be planted in the spring planting in the township. So, residents who, in the right-of-way, residents who can sign up, and the township will come in and do that planning, and it really makes a big difference for our township. So it's a great program, and we're grateful to, the Shade Tree Committee who are actually pushing this along.
Yeah,
So
being very proactive about stuff
really
rather than
proactive,
reactive.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good, and things are moving along. They also have a reorganization. Eileen Brett is going to stay on the board, lucky for us. Seth Reeser is going to chair it. So it's exciting to see it grow as it has, pun intended.
Yeah. No, it's good news. And we definitely want to continue to coordinate with them. However, we decide ultimately we're going to do that.
I can speak a little bit to that, Mary. Shade Tree is going to also do some talking within their own board, as I always felt like their expertise, I'm less expert there from Parks and Rec going that way. Their expertise would be better served here. So maybe the flow of communication would come this way. I just don't know if it was something to consider. I know it's in the ordinance that we have a rep there.
Oh,
I
is
get-
that so?
That's, that's what's in the ordinance, is that
Ah.
Parks and Rec has a rep at Shade Tree. I guess because Shade Tree was voting on or approving things. I don't know why it went that way originally. Tammy, do you have any history on that?
No, but I'm sure Howard Holden does, because
Yeah,
I
that's
know
a good
he,
i- that's a good
he
idea.
could probably share some insight to that. I'm not sure what the history was. It predated me.
Well, it was very important for me once I started. We used to do it as a liaison every 3 months. We would take turns
Right,
from this
I
board,
remember that.
Mary. But it was very important to me to keep the communication consistent. And not that I did that much, but I don't feel that I'm as strong as a understanding trees and all the actual species. You would be better at that than I was. But to have them come to Parks and Rec and be on this board for some of the things we're working on in parks.
All right, so, but if that's in our ordinance, that we send some, we have to deal with that then. I mean, if it's in the ordinance,
Well, exactly. So
we
we
need to either be compliant with the ordinance, or we need to modify the ordinance.
or maybe, put it before the board.
Right.
That's what we're working on our ordinance in Shade Tree to begin with. So maybe it could be something that could also be added to be approved by the Board of Commissioners.
Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, just so that we don't, fail to comply with something that's on the books.
Sure,
now,
yeah,
yeah.
Well, we had been failing to comply because no one would go.
Yeah, well,
right?
I know.
So-
But, no, we want to dot our i's and cross our t's
Yes,
as
yeah.
much as we can.
Yes.
So, all right, well, I'm putting that on my, radar screen,
Thank you.
ordinance. Shade tree. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Clay, that's helpful to know. Do we have any other reports from? No? Okay. Okay, on to new business. Odoricio Park Improvements Planning, discussion. Tammy, did you want to lead that?
Sure. I just wanted to acknowledge, I feel this month, is important to get that on the agenda and start discussions. I think it's time to start to consider some of the additional improvements that are needed over at Odoricio Park. We know that we have an aging comfort station over there, aging playground equipment. We have some disorientation to some of the entrance exit, and parking lots need some improvements. We know we have the basketball, obviously the basketball court resurfacing is coming. It'll probably be starting in about a month. But I wanted to kind of get this item on the agenda, start having the conversation, start to invite members of the public out to give us input, because as we know, that's the driver to understand, what we want to do, what the future may hold. So just some action items behind it over the next, month or so. I'd like to start getting out, more emails, more information, maybe do a mailer out to the community, start doing social media posts, things like that, working with members of the community to try and get input, submit input, through email. If you can't make it to a meeting, tell us what you want to see and what kind of improvements, what you think should happen at Odoricio Park.
Right.
Can I just ask, I could have sworn, and gosh, may have even been pre-COVID, or maybe it was last summer, there was supposed to be a meeting. Howard, I think you were coordinating that, or you were part of it because you had new people in the community?
Yeah, we did start it, but with I think in the midst of the elections and everything in the COVID, it was backed up a while. But I did talk to Tammy. I talked to Tammy, and that we're gonna, like she said, we're trying to get it back on the Board of Commissioners there to bring that conversation back in.
So you're talking about a dedicated public meeting, not just a
Right,
routine Parks and
yeah.
Rec, kind of like we just did for Fenimore.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
last time we had it at the Radnor Township Civic Center, and
Right. Excuse
you
me.
had like a little round table there. And that was the beginning of it, and we just haven't had anything since then, that's all. But Jay Gables did say that he wanted to get that discussion
Yes.
started, and Tammy's pushing that effort. So thank you again, Tammy.
And if we can follow the lead of, what's happening with Fenimore, is get as many community members as possible on board, I think is a great, with that energy,
Right.
it would be great to get that going for Odorosio as well.
And really get the word distributed, as broadly as possible, so that we're not, missing a big chunk of people who might have some very valuable input. So, we've been down that road.
Mary, I just want to say that, sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
Tammy and Howard and all you that came to that field trip where we went to Odorosio, that is great. And with weather like this today, maybe, I know it's another year, we keep pushing it back,
Yeah.
but having that again and having something more formalized, like on the fields, I think that's great. Because it's great, I missed that, that movie night and stuff, but it's just, it's a wonderful field with a wonderful, community that can walk to it and utilize it and walk and get pizza and walk up. It's just a great area with trees. It's the whole package. So yeah, let's do something good for that park.
If I may say, Tammy put on a beautiful program back there. I mean, she was like a little mother with that project, and it came together so well. And we were thinking, some of the people in that community that attend that park for different things, they were even like, well, maybe this can happen once or twice a summer, So I'm not sure how far Tammy got to hear that, but they were really excited about that, and it worked out great.
Well,
Great.
that's good to
It
hear.
was a
And we
beautiful
don't want to
program.
lose what momentum we had there.
Yeah.
We want to build on it,
And that's exactly what Tammy said, yes.
Yeah.
She wanted to capitalize
All right, well,
on that.
that's good.
And I actually reached out to the musicians today to see if they're on board for doing another one this July. So definitely interested in
Good.
making it an annual celebration.
Great. Okay. Okay. Some oldies but goodies here. Old business, Fenimore Woods renovation project. The Board of Commissioners did approve the funding of I guess we call it feasibility study for the stables. So that's good news. That was a forward step. I don't have anything further to report. Do you, Tammy, on this, or anybody else want to jump in here?
The only other thing I just want to acknowledge is we had a successful roundtable meeting on the 25th, so the day after the stable feasibility was approved. And the stable feasibility is getting underway. I would see that being probably at least a 6-week process, but I'll keep the board updated as it moves along. But our meeting was a success. I think we had close to 40 people that attended. Some new faces were in attendance, and I think we've continued to generate a lot of really positive feedback and consistent feedback that I think we're in a position right now when we get the stable feasibility study back, that we can really get to the drawing board and start to put something on paper that everybody can take an opportunity to start to review and move forward. So I think there's really positive progress that's moving.
Anything from the board, any input on that? I know we have public participation at the end, but I don't want to keep anybody here. Are you here to talk about Fenimore? I was just here to listen. Okay, good. All right. Then we'll move right along. The 2022 Radnor Township capital budget for parks and facilities, we had discussed a little bit last time, Park Impact Fund project allocations, and we had a bit of discussion on that. I don't know if you all have looked again at the spreadsheets we were provided with a very comprehensive listing of the various facilities and what their needs are. And we have, oh golly, remind me of how much is in this park impact fee allocation fund. Is something like close to 400,000 or something?
Yes.
We discussed a couple of possible priorities last time. I don't know if there's any input from the board on additional points they wanted to make or priority recommendations, or are there projects that are not on this list that maybe should be? And I had a few questions as well, but I thought I would seek input from the board first, just to see if we can move the discussion along and keep this going.
So I apologize for not being up to speed on this. The Radnor Trail extension, is that what's already kind of currently in process, or is this an additional extension that's being proposed?
Is this the one on the first page, like about a couple inches down, or is this page 2?
It's the same project outlined there.
It
It's
is the
not
same one.
anything new.
Okay, I just didn't know if there was like something new being planned. This is the existing, okay.
Are we all talking about the Yankee Trailhead, or are we talking about the
No, there's one that says.
Martha Brown's
It says,
Wood one?
well, I don't know. That's, I guess, my question.
On the first page,
Which did you
Tammy,
reference,
about-
Mary?
Pardon me?
Which one did you reference, Mary?
Well, Sarah was the one who was raising the question, so.
It's called Radnor Trail Extension, and they're about 6 lines.
It's
And
the
they say
same,
new, so that's why I wondered whether it's like the
It's-
existing
That
project.
sounds like Martha Brown.
no, it's the project that
Okay.
extends the trail to the 476 barrier.
Okay. Yeah, because there's another section, like, maybe it's the third or
New-
fourth entry, Radnor Trail Extension, the Yankee Trail piece.
New means it's new construction.
Yeah,
So like, the other listings there, are like whether something's being replaced or
Right.
new, just to give it that identification. I don't think there's any other code.
No, I think I guess my question, I thought most of those things were already funded. I see it's the 15 bonds, so I didn't realize there was still,
Currently, the trail extension feasibility studies are funded. They've been funded with grants.
yeah.
I know that there's some money that was borrowed back in the 2015 bond relative to the project, but the dynamics of the project have changed along the way, so I think funding is still something that's coming together.
got it, thank you.
And they're working on those bonds and grants constantly, yeah, right? I do sit in on any of those trail meetings, Tammy, because I get the minutes from it.
Some of them I do on and off, but
Okay.
Dennis Capella is our point of contact. He's our project manager.
Yeah.
Because it's really, it's engineering based, so he's on every one of those, so I keep up to date with him on what's going on. I know that there's, some meetings that occur on a regular basis every month. I know that there's a steering committee that gets together also once a month, and then there's internal meetings and review with Bob Thomas as well.
Right.
I know right now, the big discussion is the arsenic testing and everything that's being done. So it's moving along. I know there's a lot of pieces and parts, but I think they're trying to generate, a final plan to understand ultimately what the funding is that's going to be needed to complete the project.
But it's a moving target. It has
It's
been.
moving along.
But it has been for years, right, with the culvert and the different things, so, especially for the funding is,
Since 2015, when the money was borrowed,
Right.
and then the money was borrowed with the understanding that it was going to be met in complement with grants.
okay.
So it's been moving along since then.
I seem to recall that at the last meeting, Bill Remfrey raised the issue of are there any safety issues that should be, make a particular project a priority? And there were a couple I scribbled in last month's notes about safety. But I'm wondering, that would certainly be a factor towards prioritizing for me, but I don't want to put extra burden on you and your staff, Tammy, on, well, which one of these are safety related or present safety concerns? Would that be a big request, or is that something that, right off the top of your head, which ones of these present safety issues? Because, obviously we should be giving particular, at least in my mind, particular attention to the ones that raise safety issues. as
Yeah, I
opposed to
could
just-
definitely discuss which ones are safety related. I think one that I brought up in priority was Enki Park's playground surfacing.
Right.
And
About
again, just encourage, and anybody to get out there and take a look at that, and you'll see, what the deterioration that's occurring. And I know we talked about that in a little bit more detail last month, but that definitely is one that sits at the top of the list. I know at one point, the dog park, Hartford Park Dog Park, we had some residents that suggested installing fencing to separate between the parking lot and the dog park, and I know that was something that one of our former commissioners had looked into, and I think we deduced that that wasn't an issue, but, that's another one that I just would throw out there that might be considered a safety issue, because I know we've had the problem of dogs running into the parking lot and, going into cars and cars that they don't belong in, kind of a similar issue that we have over at the Willows, where we have the whole dogs and people thing that, sometimes just not always safe. So I know that's one, and we've seen a fence like that be successful at Friends of Radnor Trails Park, so that's
Right.
just one other item I would throw out there. Some of the engineering items, like, having a pedestrian access to Enke Park where the playground is located is something that I think needs to be given consideration. Arguably not a Parks and Facilities funded project until it's actually constructed, but, some sort of engineering and feasibility, I think, to see what that would entail, I think is another important feature. We have a whole lot of traffic here, a very awkward, sort of driveway down, and I'm sure everybody has seen it. There's people walking, there's kids walking, the kids are running, they're trying, they're excited to get to the great tot lot that's down
Right.
there. And then we also have a police department that's here that sometimes have to leave very quickly. So I definitely think that, and my window overlooks it, so I see it often. So I think that's just something that we do want to consider in the future. Radnor Memorial Park's turf field is going to be replaced this year, so that's one that's on the list. The township is not responsible for that. That's part of our lease agreement that we have with Agnes Irwin. So the Agnes Irwin School will be replacing the turf field. It's actually a project that's going to happen in June. So I only bring it up because I think that there's, potential for some safety issues on the field because it does need to be replaced. Although Field Turf has done a great job of coming out and making patchwork replacements on the field. And we're addressing that issue. So, facilities, I know that, there's roofing issues and things like that that need to be addressed. I think those will be handled sort of in a separate bucket, and a track that our township manager, I know, is working on with the Board of Commissioners. But from a park standpoint, I don't see anything else eminent. We're able to look at these pretty closely and see that, unless there's something that exists out there in the parks right this moment that I'm not aware of in a playground or, in some other site. But usually those things are, items we address in-house with Public Works. So, if there's some immediate tripping hazard or playground hazard or something like that, we learn about it, somebody reports it, and Public Works goes out and, we try to fix it, or we quarantine the area so that we can, get a fix, similar to what happened over at Cowan Park when we had the transfer bridge issue, so.
Right. One thing I thought about, and I really don't know this has been troubling me for years, first just as a sort of environmental problem, but now as a safety issue, is the trails in Skunk Hollow along Darby Creek, the ones that are right on the creek, sort of on the slope side of the creek. That part of the trail's been getting eroded over the years. It's in 10 feet from where it used to be 10 years ago. It's really, and the trees are starting to topple over, which is unfortunate for a variety of reasons. But what's left of the trail there now is really pretty dangerous. People still walk on that with dogs that are running loose, which we'll get to at another point. But it's pretty dangerous. So there's the environmental issue of the stream bank erosion and what that's doing to downstreams. But the safety issue now of just for the users is another thing to be considering. So I don't think that's an inexpensive problem, but I raise it anyway.
Well, it's certainly a complex problem as it involves the stream bank, undercutting, and I
Yeah.
know exactly what you're talking about. We
Yeah.
often refer to it as the goat trail. But it can be exciting, but yet, something that is difficult to navigate. So I know I've had some conversations with the scouts to see if there's ways that we can evaluate rerouting trails to avoid those areas. So that's definitely conversations that we've had. Maybe those need to happen a little bit more quickly, and, we could get to maybe a new design or something that we can put back in through there to change some of that. So I agree that there's definitely something to take a closer look at.
Yeah. Yeah, there's sort of two problems. There's the safety and then there's the environment. For safety reasons, you could try to close that trail off. People still like to walk along it, but it's actually gotten to the point now where you almost can't do it whether you want to or not, because the slope is pretty steep in places. You'd really have to cut into the side of the slope there. So you can route them up to that sort of trail that's more like on the ridge. But then there's still the stream bank erosion problem, which is, again, more of an environmental problem, I think, than you know, that's not really the safety problem, it's just the environmental problem. But anyway, I bring that up because that one's, I'm back there a lot and I see it a lot.
And that is a bad one. I was there the other weekend and with some family and hadn't really thought about the fact that it had snowed. And
Ugh.
there were two options. Some of the family I was with crossed the creek.
Yeah, if you have boots on.
Yeah, they crossed on a log
Okay, all right.
with boots, which I was like, and they said, come on, oh, no, I'm sorry, they crossed on the ice.
Okay,
They
yeah,
thought it
there's
was
ice.
thick enough, and I said, I'm not doing that. I'm turning around. They're like, you're going to miss the rest of the walk. I said, I'm going to be safe. But it was when we got to that point that we realized there was, you know,
Yeah.
those were our options. So it would be helpful, I think, if that trail
Yeah, it's too
rerouted.
bad because that's the most beautiful part of the trail, but I mean, at this point, there is no trail, you know, there's almost no trail.
Yeah.
So, okay, I don't want to dominate the conversation on that, but that's one of my thoughts. But we should continue to be looking at this list. I mean, I don't want this just to be a list that we look at from time to time. It would be nice to make some decisions here, or recommendations, prioritize and pass along maybe our recommendations to the Board of Commissioners in the not-too-distant future. Oh, you know, another thing, Tammy, and this is sort of a chicken-egg thing. Another thing that would help with prioritizing is knowing the cost, but I'm sure we don't have cost estimates for all these projects, and doing a cost estimate has costs. So, you know, I don't know how you do that. Do you prioritize and then find out what the cost is and maybe then alter your prioritizations? I don't know. But I know we have cost estimates for some things, like some of the Yankee stuff. And some stuff, I don't think we have a clue how much it was, you know, it would, like this, what we're talking about now, how much it would cost. But that, you know, clearly would be a factor too. There might be something that we really, really think would be lovely to have, but if it's, you know, cost prohibitive, then it's not going to be a priority. So, I don't know, just another thing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that, you know, cost is a very difficult thing right now because it's just,
Yeah, it's
it's
crazy.
a moving target, it really is. You know, some of these projects, we get prices on them and 6 months later, they've all gone up by 20%.
Right.
So, and lead times change and all
Right.
that other stuff. And as you referenced, some require design. So to get costs to understand what the cost will be, we have to fund
Right.
those costs, you know, with design and engineering and architectural rendering. So I think that's where, you know, we've engaged a shift in how we view our projects, you know, in trying to generate community input, generate, you know, board input, try and understand, you know, what are the projects we want to do? How do we want to do them? And then let's go out and find out how much they're going to cost. Because otherwise, you know,
Well, yeah,
we're trying, we're just, yeah,
You go in circles.
we're doing multiple things multiple times, and it would be good to just have a full understanding, you know,
Right.
on what the community wants to see, and then go from
Right.
there.
Right, that's true. Okay. Any further discussion on that? Okay. Looks like we're up to the update on the, we talked a little bit, but we need to talk more about Odoricio Park and the Cowan Park basketball court renovation projects.
Yes, so nothing has changed since last month. We're on schedule as of right now to start the project in mid-March. So as that evolves or is impacted by weather, I'll certainly keep the board updated. As part of that project, both will be done at the same time. So it won't be that one is started and then the other one, you know, comes afterwards. So I think that's exciting. It gets them done much faster. It should be a project that doesn't take any more than 2 months. So obviously weather contingent. So I'll keep the board posted if there's any changes to the schedule. And we'll have information out on the website. We have a project page. We'll continue to update that. We'll have information going out in our newsletters and on our social media, update folks so they know when these park features are going to be closed.
Okay. All right. Willows Park Preserve, concerns about dogs in the Willows Park and the trails. Anything from your end on that, Tammy, and I'll chime in after you.
So at this point, I think we're kind of just trying to get the word out that we're looking for feedback. We've been trying to put some push of information out via our newsletters, information on social media. I know that we have it set up to go out. Eventually, I want to get the kiosks updated and get some signage in there, as well as develop some signage that we can maybe strategically put out in the park. I know we've received some feedback, a mix of feedback, I think, at this point, and want to continue to do that, and maybe look at trying to set some goals and set a date of when we want to have, more of a formal public hearing, established discussion, where we can get members of the public out to come out to the meeting or submit, more information if they can't attend that meeting, so that we can figure out how we want to go. I know, some of it is reevaluating the ordinance.
Right.
So we have to evaluate if, we want to have just sort of an open forum and hear feedback and then go from there, or if we want to, have a suggested, way of approaching this and then put that out there and see how people respond to it. And I would leave that up to the board to make that decision.
Right. Yeah, we should probably get moving on that, because it's been sort of hanging over our heads for, a year, well, probably more than a year at this point. So, so that's good. Let's get the word out. Let's get people submitting their input to us, whether it's showing up at meetings or email or whatever, however they're communicating with us. And then maybe again, having a Fenimore style, more special dedicated meeting so we can hear all sides of the issue. Okay, I'm ready to get moving on that. Park playground, the communications board proposal. Update on that, Tammy.
Yes, so I was able to prepare a draft, and I was working with the residents, Marcella Gibbons, as well as another person that I was put in touch with that is a speech pathologist that works with Marcella, Devin Reed. So we were able to have a meeting and kind of start to step through a draft. So where I am right now is refining that draft and working so there's a special software where the symbols have had to be developed in a program called Symbol Sticks. So I think I had informed the board prior, we have to get licensing and everything in order to be able to use the icons. And my goal is hopefully within the next month, we can finalize the boards that would actually be at Enki and Clemacrone and work with the sign vendor to get those generated. So just in time for spring is the goal.
That's great.
Tammy, sorry, can I just ask a quick question? When I was driving home tonight, I drove by Clemacrone Park, and I saw there's a new signage close to the memorial. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, is that a new initiative, and did you discuss it?
I can. That is
Do you mind?
actually, that's a project that our public information officer worked on, Molly Gallagher. It's a Let's Be Friends initiative to basically promote the township's social media. I know that those were banners that she had prepared, and I know Public Works were able to develop them into a nice sign with framework. I believe there's one right down here as well when you drive in near Enki Park. And there'll be another one over at the Willows near
Oh, cool.
Newtown Road. So that's part of an initiative to try to get folks to jump on the township social media, Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, all of that. And I believe those signs are going to be moved around, because as we know, when a sign sits too long, no one sees it anymore. So we're going to work on trying to move those around through some different sites so people see them in the spring and the summer.
Great, thank you. It's a great idea. Thanks.
That is a great idea. Can I just make a suggestion? If we know we're going to have a meeting at Odoricio or about Odoricio, that the sign could be at Odoricio for the month before, so people start seeing things like that. Trying to make sure they're strategically placed when we know we're having meetings about those areas. That'd be really helpful.
Good ideas. Okay, anything more on that? Public participation? No? Okay, you're getting off easy tonight. We're all getting off easy tonight. All right. Are we ready to adjourn? Do I hear, well, we don't really need a motion. I guess we will just adjourn. Okay. Great. Thank you, everybody. That was quick.